Hey, Barry. Welcome back to another episode of FSidfs DFS Fantasy NASCAR Picks. I'm Rose Mega 31. We got the Bristol night race here on a Saturday, cutoff race. Couple shout outs, AP Viking. Thanks for watching a couple weeks ago. Just took down a single entry. I'm glad, that's where we do these videos. Love to hear that stuff. And speaking of videos, stay tuned to the channel. Tonight I'll put out NFL video. I had McKinley help me last week. I think it went really well. One of the viewers took the GPP core that we threw out there and won 10K. So again, love to hear that stuff. That's why we're doing this, to help you go out there. I know, like with prop betting and stuff, DFS has faded a little bit in the last couple of years, but we want to keep it going, keep it strong, and keep you informed on what some plays to help you continue to stay in the game. So, and as always, if these videos help, subscribe to the channel and give us some likes. That's all we ask for. Thank you so much. Okay, so on to Bristol here, and projections. Sometimes I do projections, sometimes I don't. Because sometimes I would look at them like I'm not sure if these are where I want to be. I do them sometimes for context in the speculation videos. This is based on the real data we had practice, we had qualifying. The practice gets a little goofy because Cup does it in two different groups, and usually Group A goes out there and it's non-playoff drivers, and the track is like green or sometimes like warmer, cooler, and there's such variation between the two. Not only the competition on out there, that sometimes the speeds are skewed. So that's why as we go through here, I put the top 10 average. That's the top 10 averages of both combined that you'll find if you look at like any of the official NASCAR scoring. But the X's were ones that I felt like had really good fall off if you took like bad laps or people like pitting or like trying different things out of it. And these are ones that are a little bit concerned with like how much their fall off is. A new tire here is supposed to be softer, supposed to be fall off. We didn't really see that in practice, but this is a night race and it's not the conditions that they practiced and qualified in. So these cars could be completely different, handle completely different than what we saw. So we got to again take that with a grain of salt. And they say that I don't understand it. I would think a warmer track there'd be more fall off because the heat against the asphalt would like melt it away. Or the heat against the asphalt, the rubber against hot asphalt would kind of melt it away. But apparently they're saying like the cooler track would lead to more fall off. So I don't understand the science between that. If you do, put it in the comments. So we'll see that with the night race under the lights. And the other thing too is it's always been like a one groove racetrack. They're putting the PJ1 stuff, so they tried to put another groove in. It did help a little bit in Xfinity and the trucks, and we'll see what happens. And so starting up top, AHA Allmendinger gets the pole, and probably somebody that I would normally fade here was in qualifying, qualified early, was in the practice group with the non-playoff cars. And is everything skewed here? But I don't know. Like I said, it's hard to pass. Blaney has a rocket ship behind him, was very fast uh car, and projects fairly well, and could go out there. And I think what we're looking for here is probably two, hopefully three dominators, not like the spring race where Kyle Larson led like 400 of the 500 laps and completely dominated. So hopefully it's more balanced, and there's a lot of excitement, and it's not like this other 500 where Chase Briscoe goes out there and leads almost the whole race, and you yawning and falling asleep, wondering why you like stayed up to watch a foregone conclusion that an hour ago you probably knew what was going to happen. So we'll see here. So Allmendinger could potentially go out there. So I didn't want to completely fade him. I think he's an upside dominator at his price at 6,600. If he goes out there and leads 25, 50 laps, gets a couple fast laps, still finishes in the top 10, I think that's a solid day at the price point in a GPP. I don't know if the floor is there to play him in cash. So that's why I have the orange there. Now, normally, if you watch these videos, I only have three purple dominators. This I had to go with four. There's four cars that I feel, and especially with a long race with 500 laps, could really go up there and really get a lion's share of the dominators. So I think again, like maybe build in a single entry your favorite cash combination, but if you go in those 20 entry maxes, I think you need to rotate with between two or three of Blaney, Larson, Hamlin, and Bell, and I'll talk about them each as we go through things here. But the caveat is Briscoe is 10K, but also starting 31st and has like a ton of floor there also. So I think between those five cars, you want to try to get three of them in. There's plenty of good value plays to make it all work. And in 20 max, I think you continue to do the rotation of three out of those five cars. I want to mix some other ones into like that. That's perfectly fine if you want to throw in like Gibbs and Byron also, who I think are upside dominators. So Blaney has not been a good track for him, but looked really good here. Has been in good form. Like, and it's not because he's had fast cars here. He's done well. He just has had bad luck. So if his luck changes, he easily could go out there and he's got like a teammate up there also starting with him. They could like link up and try to get him out front. That could really help. The other interesting thing is Cindric is on the bubble. He's the last car in at plus 11. So is he going to be conservative, or are they going to try to get him out there and see if he could lead or win a stage? And because Blaney's already probably safely in on points. I put the green at Bell, who's like plus 32, because I think that's enough cushion with all the cars that are below that. Even if Rexon is out first, that still there's enough of the other ones not potentially doing well here at this type of track to not have it be an issue not making the playoffs some points. So Blaney, I think safely in. Cindric is right there on the cut line. Then you have Gibbs, who has had fast cars, has done well, has run well here, is not in the playoffs. So I think, they're probably focusing on other ones, but they really want to get him his first win. If this is the opportunity to do that and block somebody else from getting and advancing, and their cars are safe in on points, Briscoe's already locked in there, and Reddick at 2311, which is a subsidiary, should be safely in. Bubba should be safely in. Bell should be safely in. Hamlin's locked in. So, maybe it's a chance to get Gibbs a win. So I think that in GPPs, he's very intriguing. Larson, dominant car, and in practice, didn't look as good as he did before. Didn't look horrible, kind of average, and just the form recently has been kind of concerning. So, like, I think this will be the true litmus test, a track that he has really done well on in the next gen car. And if he goes out there and does well, then okay, Kyle Larson is fine. If he struggles here, then this might be something to look at the rest of the playoffs. Is has he lost his mojo? What's happened to this team? And maybe he starts becoming more of a GPP play than a cash play with a floor and upside. Hamlin locked into the next round. Does really good at this type of tracks also. So between the two of them and Blaney and Bell, I think you really can't go wrong. It's just pick whoever you feel is going to be the best. Hamlin was okay here in the spring, but his form recently has been better. He looked better in practice than he did in the spring. So uh, again, it'll be different track conditions being a night race. So we'll just have to see how that works out. Byron was average in practice. Nothing really stood out. He's been average at this track. I think he's definitely a top 15 to top 10 driver. I just don't see the upside to go out there and dominate and win this, but the potential is always there. So I'm going to give him the GPP upside dominator. Wallace, it's been an okay track for him. 10 lap average was seventh, and he was out there with the playoff drivers. So, but I didn't have like bad fall off, didn't have great, just somewhere in the middle. So I think that he's safely in. I think he might just go out there to get points. He's surprising. Like he's actually fourth in the standings at plus 50. So, I think there's a lot of like he should be like safely locked into the next round. Even if he crashes and goes out first. I think that and ends up placing 39th and everybody else finishes in the top 15. I think he'll still be able to make the playoffs to the next round. So But I like him here. I just don't like love him and feel he has the floor for cash. Bell, I think, has tremendous upside. I love the fall off. Like, didn't have like great launch speed, but the cars came to him on long runs. I think he'll do really well and be able to go out there and pass some cars. Barry, don't know what his strategy is going to be. He's had two abysmal races. He's wrecked out early and is dead last in points. He probably needs a win here to be able to advance. I don't see it happening, but um, also, like I just didn't feel like his practice was really good. I was gonna put a fade on him, but I'm gonna give him GPP just because he was good at this type of track um, during his Xfinity days. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. I think he started a little bit too far forward here, but I think he still has a little bit of upside at 68. Stenhouse is not a really good track for him. He qualified really well here, but I just think he's dropping down, so I'm not playing him this week. Hocevar, I'm going to give the 100K on just because of his aggressiveness. Nothing really popped in practice, but it was more the data is more towards the positive side than the negative side would fall off. So, and he was really good tire wear trucks with uh, um in the truck series. I guess we gotta really consider him here, and I like the upside here for like if you're playing the top GPP. Chastain can give a cash. He's on the bubble here with plus 19. I think he'll be okay. I don't think he'll have to be super conservative. Somewhere in the middle in data for fall off. It's been good on tire wear tracks, so I think that he's one that we can consider in cash. He's going to be in the no man's land range, especially if you're trying to go with like Briscoe and Larson or Hamlin. I don't know if you'll be able to get to the 8K range, but if you are doing more of a balanced build, thinking that it's going to be like a one dom race, like you take Larson and hope he's like out there like last time, and then you're taking all these like people that are going to be medium to low owned in the mid range, then that might be not more probably more GPP build, but it could be another solid cash floor build also. Reddick, I'm going to give the 100K here also. Hasn't been his best track. He struggled here. He should be safely in the playoffs at plus 37. But if there's a higher groove that comes in and the PJ1 helps, like I think that he might be able to find like the higher groove's the preferred one, but if he can like race even higher or make something else work, which we've seen him do, then that could be beneficial. So I think there's the upside for the top GPP here. Bowman just hasn't been a good track for him. He is on the outside looking in, so about negative 35. So I think he's got to go for the win. I don't know if it's going to be like swinging for the fences. It's definitely not a cash play. That's why I have him as GPP. Like he's normally my floor warrior here, my blue collar guy that just goes out there and does his job and at whatever price comes back at 4X and is exactly what we need and has the most solid floor of most NASCAR drivers. But this week, I just fear um, they actually made a trade. He's got Carson Hocevar's pit crew. So that's another reason I kind of like Hocevar's. Maybe the pit crew, which Bowman was going to kind of let him down the last couple of weeks, has something to prove. So they go out there and help Carson do really well, and Bowman continues to struggle. And they're like, "See, it wasn't us." So with Hocevar's pit crew, who's been solid, I think that helps. But again, like this week, I just really gonna not play him, and unless he's last man in a GPP build, and from there, consider it. But at that point, like $100 more if I'm in GPP land, like why not play Kyle Busch if he's not already in my lineup? Or $100 less, and he's starting 32nd, so he's got more of a floor there if things go wrong than Bowman starting 15th. Elliott's a cash play here. I don't know why I have medium ownership. Can't it's Elliott. It's not the mamas, the papas. Uh, Case Elliott is always like highly owned just because he's one of the most popular drivers in NASCAR. Uh, he's good at tire wear here. Average, like wasn't bad, wasn't good. 95. Don't know if people get to the price point, but there is some place differential there. At the price with somebody that could potentially in a really long race get up there and dominate. He's plus 28, so I have him in the yellow. I think he's safe, but if a couple strange things happen, Mathematically, I think he could be a little bit in danger. He's got a little bit of work to do. So we'll see what happens there. But I definitely feel you can play him in cash. And if you want to mix him in with the rest of the Dominators as kind of a place differential play or a $500 pivot off of like Briscoe, who doesn't have as much floor but has some floor starting 16th, I completely get that too. Haley, you're probably going to ask me, why is Haley a prime play starting 17th? Haley's been good at this track. Haley was number one at 10 lap average, but if you look at like deep out, like and parse it out to 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 lap average, he still has been up there in like the top five. So there's been speed in this car in this weekend. And again, maybe things will change, but at 5,700, he doesn't need to do that much. If he just finishes 20th, like I have him projected like 24 points at 4x. If he finishes 20th, where's my bonuses? That's 23. So, I mean, that's almost right where the projection was, and it should get you 4x. I just like what I saw data wise. He's not starting deep in the field where you fear that he could go multiple laps down. He has consistently done well here too. So I think that like looking at historical data and looking at the speed and everything, I feel real comfortable making him a prime play at 57, even starting 17th. Brad Keselowski has a good attire wear track. He had really good fall off here, fifth overall with speed. I know they go out there and test stuff, but I think this is a little bit different this week. Like all the RFK cards kind of are in the same range. I don't think that they're out there like doing a bunch of testing stuff. I think this week they might just have come out just to kind of go racing. So I mean, it could be different. Like they do like to test when they're not in the playoffs to try to gather as much data as possible for the next season. But here, I think just based on how they all like practiced, and besides like Busher, who's like fall off was a little bit questionable, I think they're like all solid in this range. John Hunter Nemechek has been having like a pretty solid silent season. If you look at the results, he's just he's I'm not saying he's like evolving into an Alex Bowman, but he's going out there. He's making bet. He's kind of turning into like a younger Ricky Stenhouse because Stenhouse out there early on was just a living liability. And he has evolved into kind of a steady one that still has the aggression when we need it to, but goes out there and consistently gets results. Like this week, I think he's starting too far forward. But I think if John Hunter Nemechek is starting to, and Legacy is starting to find some speed. I think like the Toyota development and everything, the maturity of the drivers, it's starting to come together. And Jimmy Johnson, I think not out there racing as much and like actually helping like with the leadership of this team. I think things are really starting to fall into place. So I like John Hunter Nemechek here at 5,200. I think he's solid cash play with floor. Uh, Ryan Priest, I think also in this range, if you 7K fits into your budget, is another solid play. Busher have his GPP just because he has been solid. I believe he did win a race here in Bristol in the next gen car, if I'm not mistaken. But I just didn't like what I saw the fall off in practice if I looked at like all the data. So it'll be a GPP for me. Logano, 100K guy here. He's 9,200. He has been terrible at this track. It's almost been a decade since he's had success here in next gen car and not next gen car. Like, he just not a good track for him. He is on the bubble for the playoffs. Positive with plus 21. I think he runs a really conservative race here. I know he's got a pit crew chief that can go out there and do some wild strategies and get him up there to do really well, but it hasn't happened here. So that's why I think he's the perfect 100K driver because he is boomer bust. He's home run or strikeout. It's either really going to work and he's going to have lower ownership because people are going to look at the history and think, okay, or the only reason he's going to have medium ownership here is because people are going to look at the name and the place differential and not really look at the context of everything. And I think that that's why the ownership's going to be in the medium versus low. But the true people that study this, I think are not going to be playing him just based on those factors. So I think that's why he's for sneaky for the 100K one to be the third driver in the lineup, and then always like fill in with like chalk and cash plays and floor and upside plays there. And then if those 300K guys go off, then that's what helps you. And the other thing too is like I don't recommend you always play all three of them. They're just examples to like mix in to try to give you some leverage versus but then play a chalky like floor lineup with the rest of them. So you have that, and those are your differentiations off of it. Dylan, again, lots to do to try to get into the next round. He's only negative 11, so if somebody wrecks early, like Cindric or Chastain, then I think he's got the opportunity to sneak in. I don't think he necessarily needs to win, but he's going to need to do a lot for points. So is he going to, like some of the Xfinity drivers did, like love, like stay out there and with the stage points, if there's a caution close to the end of the stage and everybody else goes in for tires so they don't have to, and then and then lose track position in like stage two or stage three, but go there and get those valuable stage points to try to point himself into the next round. Entirely possible. Um, so that's why I have him as a GVP. I wasn't really impressed with the Childress cars out there this weekend. Again, maybe they're set up for the night and maybe, going out there during the day. They're not going to have success, but for some reason they figure it out and they're going to be better at the night race, possibly. But I just think that is not going to happen. So the GPP, because there's upside, but I don't feel there's floor. Zane Smith ran really well here in the trucks. Good fall off. Uh, I really like it. 5,500 cash play. McDowell has been solid on these types of tracks also. Had second and 10 lap average, kind of more towards the middle if you take like everything out in context of the practice group he was in. But I still think these two cars are pretty good. Custer kind of scares me up here. GPP, not a fade because he's not kind of in the danger zone where he's going to potentially go laps down early. So 5,100 if you have to in this punt range, I'm okay with it to try to get things in there, but I really feel it's more of a GPP than a cash build. Jones I like here. Again, the legacy cars have started to come together, and I think that he has enough floor for cash. Shane Van Gisbergen was really struggling in practice. And I just think that needs a miracle, which is kind of sad. I mean, he's only negative 15, so it is possible. But again, like Dylan, if Dylan has like trouble and like some of these other ones get in a wreck or something and or have mechanical issues and if he can maybe point his way in, I don't think he's going to be able to win this type of race. But AJ Allmendinger was doing well here and like with braking on a short track, and sometimes that does help road course drivers. And we definitely weren't seeing in practice, but maybe in the course of a long race he gets it. Maybe through attrition, like we saw with the Jeremy Clement, who's like an average driver, finished ninth in the Xfinity series race. So it's entirely possible that some drivers that usually finish in the 20s make it up a little bit just because of pit strategy or late cautions or things like that. So it's entirely possible, but I think it's going to be a fade. Herps I really like here. 13th, but the fall off was really good. I think it's better than that. And I've been decent on at Bristol and Xfinity and in Cup Series. So I'm going to give him the prime play. Gregson also looked good out there in practice, and he has the upside and the aggressiveness. And looking back at Xfinity was also good here. Briscoe, I'm gonna have to give he was out there in like one of the fastest cars and with fall off and everything, but for some reason he just didn't look good on the qualifying lap. And commentators like I almost asked him like, is he doing this on purpose for a reason? So maybe there's something wrong with the car. And maybe he sensed that and he just went out there and just ran the laps for qualifying just to get it over with, but they need to work on something. And who cares if he drops to the back of the field? Like I'm sure that this car is going to be faster than all the rest of these, that he will be able to cut through the field to get to a safe position where, because we're starting to get into the zone here where The projections look great, and normally we'd play some of these drivers down here with the place differential, with the talent that they have and the cars that they're in. But you just fear that at such a short track that the field is going to be lapped so soon, and it's just so hard to get it back. And you find yourself like falling lap after lap after lap down, and you never really recover. And in DFS, you're not going to be able to come back from that. But Briscoe, I think, is in a position, even if he has to start at the back of the field dead last, that he should be able to. But if any of these drivers, the race is so long, unless you're paying up for like a Dominator, someone in like the mid range, if they like for some reason for an unproved adjustment or something have to go to the back of the field and they're a good fast driver with a fast car, they should get out of the danger zone before the field catches them. So I wouldn't worry about that. But if you have any questions, you can always put them in the chat, and then I can respond whether we should still play them or fade them, if that is the case. But Bristol, I think it will be fine here. Even if you see him going to the back, he will still be fine. Kyle Busch just has always been good here. Has not been recently. Again, the Childress cars I really questioned. Like Hill was bad too. Um, so like looking at both of these together, like I don't understand why Austin Hill's racing here. It's one of his worst in Xfinity. If you want to get more experience, like why not do it in the Truck Series to try to be better for Xfinity instead of swinging for the fences? Unless they just needed someone to run this car for points for next year for Daytona or something. I don't understand it. Um, but Kyle Busch, I think, is a GPP potentially if you think that he can stay on the lead lap and not find chaos all over the place. Hill is one that is a fade. Where definitely a fade. Definitely going to lose laps. Suarez is one that I think that you potentially could play down here, and the projection looks good, but I just the the fall off wasn't there, and I just fear he goes lap down. Same thing with Gillian. Gillian, we play a lot in types of contests like this because he's one that does really well and usually has a solid floor, but he's struggled at this track specifically and where we've seen him race in different series. So I just don't feel that he's safe for cash. And Ty Dillon, same thing. We've seen upside, but this just isn't a Ty Dillon track usually. And obviously AJ found something there. He's got the pole, but Ty Dillon, I just don't think it's there. I fear that he's one that's going to fall lap down. And Corey Heim, we usually in the truck series super dominant. Didn't qualify well here. I just fear that he's in the danger zone also. And I like the price and I like the upside and stuff, but if there's any other track, I would definitely be hammering this, maybe even the prime play. But I fear you just gotta let this one go. I think it's gonna be a GPP and Chad Fincham, forget it. I don't know if Chad Fincham's gonna be able to finish the race, and the 66 car's just been abysmal. So that's what I got for you. If you have any questions, just put them in chat below. Hit me at Mega31 on Twitter/X. Remember, you can go to the description of the video. You can get to FSI. It's only $6 a day to play all the sports. And we got college football today. We'll have NFL this weekend, NASCAR. Charlie's got soccer all day long, MLB. So many cool things going on for such a low price. So the description of the video gets you to the website, and we can just join the Discord for free. There's a NASCAR pool room, which is free also to get into. And you can ask me questions there. And if there's any updates and stuff, I usually shoot in there. The paid subs get all the stuff first and like all the questions first. But if I have time after, then I go into NASCAR pool one, and we've got some pretty cool guys in there and girls too, I think, that have made a pretty productive chat, and I've really enjoyed having that too. So even though so there's a couple options for you to get help if you need it. So remember, watch the NFL videos coming out this weekend too, and good luck in your contest. Hope everything goes well for you this weekend in the racing and all the rest of your DFS, and I'll see you next time.